Hilary Boynton is the creator of the School of Lunch, a week long academy held a few times a year that teaches attendees from around the world how to put together incredible, nourishing, ancestral, traditional food programs that they can use in whatever application they need. In running a school lunch program, which is what Hilary does in California, in a business for retreats or wellness spaces, at home, or wherever they wish to implement a meal program. In this episode, I got to sit down with Hilary and ask her to give me a peek into what happens at their academy. Listeners will be fascinated to hear the different topics she chooses to cover in her training, why she chose to cover them in her academy, which ones are controversial, and who is on her rotating list of guest speakers. Hilary's optimism and hope, her strong, positive energy, and her belief in the power of good food to heal our bodies comes through strongly in this episode. I am in awe of the possibilities and power of taking her food program into schools, homes, and businesses around the world. Welcome to the Ancestral Kitchen Podcast with Allison, a European town dweller in central Italy, and Andrea, living on a newly created family farm in Northwest Washington State, USA. Pull up a chair at the table and join us as we talk about eating, cooking, and living with ancient ancestral food wisdom in a modern world kitchen. Hello, Hilary. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good to talk to you again. So, for everybody listening, I am here with Hilary Boynton, who is the author of the Amazing Gaps cookbook that I think if you go back and listen to, was it like a third episode where we said five of our favorite books, and your cookbook is definitely
Oh,
one of my top books. I love that book. And the way
awesome.
I
Thank
found
you.
you, yeah, I don't know if I told you that the way I found you was I heard your interview on the Wise Traditions podcast with Hilda, and then I
Ah,
scoured the internet for you.
really? Oh my
Yes,
gosh, that was a while ago, huh?
I was. And the
And
way
now you're
you,
all in.
I'm all in, the way that you talked about preparing ancestral food in the school just completely blew me away. Like, I had never
Mm,
heard anybody with a vision like that for the school for that many kids. And then your whole concept of, even if it's only one nutrient dense meal a week, it's one nutrient dense meal or a day, it's, one nutrient dense meal a day. And
yeah.
the way the kids were adapting to and eating what we would say were strange things. I just absolutely love that. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. It's
And
amazing
we've,
to witness every day. It's amazing.
yeah. Well, we've had you on here before, so people listening probably already know you also because of all your other amazing work you do. And this episode, I just want to grill you about the School of Lunch because
Okay.
that is completely, I'm going to adjust my microphone, but that is just a completely um, mind-blowing operation that you have there. So, why don't you just give a picture first what School of Lunch is for people listening that just have no idea what we're talking about?
Okay. Well, like you said, I run a school lunch program at a small private school in the mountains and canyons, I guess, of Topanga, California, which is in between Santa Monica and Malibu in the Los Angeles area. And we feed about 150 kids every day and about 25 staff. And we're in our sixth year of running the operations there. So I've really
Wow.
been witness to and deeply involved with feeding kids, not just my own kids. I have 5 kids of my own that are all teenagers now. So
Mhm.
I've been through that and still in it, and then feeding K through 12 now for many years. So we started School of Lunch as kind of it's a 3-tiered operation where we run the operations at the Manzanita School. We consult with schools and businesses and individuals across the country, and then we run a training academy, which is a full immersion into, nature, into Topanga Canyon, where we go through a 5-night intensive where you're learning all these traditional methods of cooking and the ancestral wisdom and the way we feed kids at school,
Wow.
and basically getting back to the way things used to be, right? That Weston Price
Mhm.
philosophy. Everything we do is based on really those principles, and maximizing as much nutrition as possible, and getting people back to feeling good and knowing what it feels like to feel good, and just reconnecting with, really, with nature and with yourself and your community and um, your farmers, your local food systems, and really diving in. And it's
Right.
transformative. Like, people come in and leave a changed person. And just like you and me, I think once you discover this way, and it's like demystified a little bit of living and eating and nourishing yourself on in more ways than just food, like I said, with community um, and your local food system, it just, you never want to go back, right? You're just like,
Yeah,
I'm all in.
for
Like,
sure.
just want to be like the biggest sponge I could be and take it all
Mhm.
in and learn more and live this way. Because, when you have your health, you have everything.
Yeah.
And when you don't have your health, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you really have nothing. So, so that's what we do at School of Lunch. So this training is really, I really want to train as many people as I can. You don't have to aspire to be a lunch lady in your kid's school. You can just want to learn to feed yourself or feed your family,
Yeah.
or dive into your local school system or a business or a YMCA wellness program. Whatever you want to do with the information, I want to give it to you and let you just like turn you loose on your community and just go for it.
Turn you loose on
So
your
turn
community.
you loose on your community, like get
Well,
after, because those are the people that are going to be passionate about it. Like, I
yeah,
can't dive into every community, and
sure.
it's not my sweet spot. Like, wherever you live is where you're most passionate about making a difference, right?
Absolutely. And it's like you're sending out your disciples to
Exactly.
all
Little
their
School of Lunch
hometowns.
soul ambassadors. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
want
then
to have as
they're
many
kind of
millions of
spreading that good news.
ambassadors across the globe. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really, we have some amazing ambassadors. Everybody who graduates from our training academy really um, wants to come back. So I have this dream of
Yeah.
having a soul fest every year, where it's just like we can get together for a weekend and just,
Can you
you know,
imagine that? Like a
light
food
each other up.
festival, but for people like us. A food
I
festival, but
know.
where everything's not fried in rancid canola oil.
Oh, I know.
What a
You don't
dream.
have to worry about navigating and, like, saying no to your kids. You can just be like, go have fun and like eat whatever you want. That's what we try to create at the school. It's like, I want the kids to show up in the line and just not have to worry. Like, we've done our due diligence. We've sourced, from our farmers. We look them in the eye. We ask all
Mhm.
the right questions, and we want you to just be able to choose what looks good and learn about it, and then sit down and just, with a calm nervous system out in nature, and enjoy a meal with
Yeah.
your friends and your mentors.
Are the kids aware of that purchasing process, that it's different than just having us foods deliver something?
Yeah, I think I mean, it's a daily education. I'm always talking to the kids, and they're always asking questions. And before COVID, we had a lot of farmers come in, and we do parents. It's coming back now, but we do parents at
Okay.
lunch once a month, where we bring people in from the local food systems. So we just had Redmond Real Salt last week, which was
I
amazing.
saw that.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it was
that
so
looked
cool,
awesome.
because it's just like one change. You can just like change out your salt, and it's so huge for your
Yeah.
health, and making a big difference. And they're right here in the USA. So, but we've brought in our local farmers as well, and connecting the kids and kind of creating that full circle experience, where they're not only eating the food, but they're engaging with the farmer who grew the crops or raised the animals, and then they're experiencing the chefs who prepared it, and then they're all
Mhm.
sitting down and eating together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Redmond
It's
has an agricultural line where they sell
oh,
we get big bags of
like,
different types of mineral salts for the livestock.
yeah, they were
And
telling me that.
uh-huh,
So
and yeah,
cool.
they're fantastic. And I love the way they advertise is they say, because you'll put out what's called a mineral buffet, where you have basically a tray with a bunch of different bins, and
Yeah.
livestock, they know what they're deficient in, so they'll go in and select the one that has whatever they
That's
need,
so
selenium or copper or whatever.
awesome.
And so they say, "Oh, well, if you wanna see if our salt is good, just put it out. and see which one your animals take. Put it out next to all those other salts, and your animals will take this one. They're so sure of the quality
And
of their product.
they will, right? If you put anything in front of an animal, like if it's
Yeah.
bad, they're not going to eat it. They
Mm-mm.
know right away, right?
A desperate. Well, here's what's interesting
Or
about.
not going to.
Yeah. Can you go take it over to the couch? What's interesting when I'm observing animals, and then I think about humans too, is a desperate and hungry. There's this thing that they say, you have to keep these certain weeds or things thinned out of your animal's pasture. But if your animal has a lot of lush forage, they won't even touch them, but a desperate animal will eat them.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
then I think about humans and how
Hmm.
you're like, well, I crave these things, so I don't have good instinct. It's like, well, you're desperate. You're a desperate
Yeah.
human and you'll eat anything to try and get what you need.
Yeah,
But
we're overfed and undernourished,
mhm,
right? Like our bodies are
mhm,
craving the nutrition, but we're
yeah.
just not giving it to us. So
And do you see that with the
intuitively.
kids? Like the more that you give them the things that serve them, that they choose
Yeah.
things.
Actually, the head of school used to not like ferments, used to be
Mhm.
like, "Are these rotten?" I'm like, "It's fermented, you know?"
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yes, it's
and then
rotten. We
now,
fermented.
yeah, basically we love that. Yeah.
What we were going
And
for.
now he's like, I actually crave them every day. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
so
that is
fantastic.
because
Love
your,
it.
good guys in your gut are saying, yes, give
Yeah.
me more, right? So
Yeah.
it's really fun to see that. And there's kids that, 5-year-olds that love ferments, and you just get them like
Mhm.
trying even pickle juice shots or beet kvass
Yep.
or,
Yeah.
whatever. And what we do is we make sure they're satiated, so we have like we think about everything that goes into those meals, so it's really well balanced, and we focus on savory over sweet. We don't do any dessert. We figure they can get that like everywhere else that they go
Sure.
in
Sure.
life, and so we really work on hitting that satiety point, so they just like they're fully satisfied and off they go with
Mhm.
a boatload of energy for their second half of their day. And we feed them snack too, which is
Oh,
usually like
nice.
really beautiful salami and raw cheese and sprouted nuts and
What?
like
It's
raw
not
kefir.
Lunchables? Lunchables isn't a good
I
snack?
am like beside myself that was going into the public school system. I was literally like,
Oh,
hashtag
yeah.
crimes against humanity. I was just like, what are we
Literally.
doing?
Literally. But a
Literally.
desperate cow will eat poison. Like she'll eat poison.
Yeah.
So
Some of
there
these
we
kids,
go.
it's their only meal that they have a choice.
Mhm.
They don't have a choice,
They don't have a
so it's
choice.
so
Yeah.
sad.
Do you so when you post pictures of those plates, I
Mm.
love it when you post those pictures because I'm just like, yeah, I would literally buy a book of glossy photos of just, I don't even need the recipes,
I'm
just
going to
the
make a book.
pictures. I would buy that
Yeah, for
like
the school. Well, I
100%.
was going to make it for the school just to show,
Okay,
but
well,
I should make one
pretend
and
I'm in the
just
school.
okay.
I'll find
Well,
some parent and be like, buy me one.
I wish I could show all the faces because the kids are so cute. I mean, even the high schoolers, they're just adorable to me, and they're happy and healthy and vibrant and just like so proud of their plates. I mean, some kids are like they're so used to me now taking photos that they're like, do you want to take a picture of my plate, Miss
Can I
Hillary?"
eat it yet?
I know.
That's my
I'm like,
kids.
whoa, wait a minute, hold up, let me just get a photo of that. It's like I feel like I'm gonna miss out if I miss a day of photographs on it. Sometimes I'm just like, Hillary, it's just like every day. But they're all so beautiful that I'm like, they capture their cute little smiles,
Yeah,
beautiful plates. And I
but their
just want to
plates
show, I
are,
have a dream of like my hub, my training academy
yeah,
hub someday, which I told you about last time, but with all these pictures on the wall of just like
yeah.
beautiful plates with smiling kids and
Oh
happy
my goodness.
teachers and healthy chefs and
Yeah, people feeling
so
good at the end of the day.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so let's talk then about the training because that just fascinates me. I think to my mind, this is the sort of um theme park that I want to go to.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Disney.
yeah, I don't have time for all those overpriced like costumes or whatever. I just want this is the stuff that fascinates me and the conversations that fascinate me and the people that fascinate me. So
Mm,
you sent me and Allison your program of events and we looked at it
right.
together and we were just like, we want to go to this. Like this looks
No.
amazing. So let's talk about what's on the menu literally for
Okay.
your training. And so you said this training is open to anyone. Everyone can go to this, right?
Yeah.
It isn't
Yeah.
just like I'm going to run a school. I think people who cook for their family would all benefit from this.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
something that we run into all the time that I'm sure you run into also is so many the all the techniques that you use for this food are such simple things. I mean, people were doing this without reading or writing for thousands of years. And today, I feel like a lot of this knowledge has been kept away in factories or whatever, has been removed from us. And so it can be daunting to try to
yeah,
think, I
oh,
have to take
absolutely.
on all these new skills.
Yeah.
And there's video courses are good and books are good. And Allison and I have the podcast and training and stuff, of course. And then it's also really fun to get to sit down, like literally with you and Aaron and everybody else who's doing this
Yeah.
and learn with a human. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, that human connection is so
Yes,
important.
absolutely.
Actually, my therapist was just at a party that we had with Redmond the other day, and he was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"I haven't seen you in 3 years," and I was just like, "What?" Like, because we meet on Zoom, and I was like, "What?" It didn't even dawn on me,
Whoa.
and I'm just like, "That's messed up, right?" Like that. Like we just got stripped of like everything's easier now, just Zoom, even though we're
Yeah.
zooming right now, which we're thankful for. But like,
Right. Right.
it's like there's
Hmm.
something real. I like dove in and gave him a huge hug. I was just like, oh my gosh, so crazy. And it's
Yeah.
so important that we maintain that, human connection and to really like be in the presence of other people's energy, face to face is so powerful. And we have like you said, it's not just school chefs and people that desire to be school chefs, although we do have many of those. We also have like grandparents who come. We have
Hmm.
moms and dads. We have now like a bunch of 20 somethings, like 18 to
Wow.
25 that are like figuring out that they don't want to go to like standard registered dietitian school or
Oh
they
my gosh.
there's a better way or they're sick and they want to heal themselves and so it's a total hodgepodge and when you then feed off of each other's energies and you're looking out for one
Hmm.
another
Hmm.
and like there was a grandmother there who just like adopted everyone as like her grandkid. She was
At
just
the
like, you
training?
guys, yeah.
Oh,
She was
wow.
just so awesome and everyone just adored her and she adored everybody and then people stay in touch and support
Yeah.
one another, so it's really like it's really special. Like it's hard to put into words because I really believe like my mission has been to train as many soul chefs as possible to
Hmm.
sweep across the nation. Now I say globe, and disrupt the trend of chronic illness in this next generation of kids. And now I've changed it to joyfully disrupt the trend because we have to have fun along the
I
way, right?
agree.
And
I
so,
agree.
you probably see me on Instagram singing and dancing in the kitchen. And like
Yes.
like yesterday, I had a really hard day the day before, and I walked into school and I was just like tired and kind of just like, ugh. And right away, my staff just lifts my spirits. And
Wow.
I'm like pulled out of a funk and just like, oh my God, these guys rock. So
Yeah.
it's about that collaboration and connection and the joy that comes around food and farming and healing and that support system. So you kind of diffuse the overwhelm and for everybody it's just like hold space, like it's gonna be okay, you're gonna get it and you're gonna be so much better off for that and you're gonna be so excited.
Yeah. That's
So
Are you looking for a powerful source of nutrients to enhance your overall health and well being? Look no further than beef organ capsules from One Earth Health, where the cattle graze on lush New Zealand pastures. The beef organs are sourced from 100% pasture raised cattle, ensuring that you receive the highest quality and most nutrient dense organ meat available. Beef organs are some of the most nutrient dense foods on earth, with high levels of vitamins A, K, and the B complex. Customers report more energy, improved skin health, and a strengthened immune system thanks to the powerful nutrients found in these organs. For a limited time, One Earth Health is offering our Ancestral Kitchen podcast listeners a 5% discount on all orders and free shipping. We checked and we saw, even before any discounts, they were more affordable than other New Zealand based organ supplements with all the pristine nutritive value we wanted in place. Take advantage of their amazing price and the extra discount and the free shipping. Order now and enjoy the incredible health benefits of One Earth Health's beef organs, made with care and quality in New Zealand. Visit oneearthhealth.com/ancestral kitchen, and I'll put the link in the show notes.
So
You
yeah.
you actually touched on something that Allison and I discussed quite a lot, which is that community, which is almost like an overused word now, but it's ironic because so many people don't actually have community. They've got a Facebook group of people with niche interests and they think that's a community, but
Yeah.
community is um it's like you said, that grandma who was adopting people at the
Yeah.
school, it's people of different ages, not just your like
Mhm.
niche market specific hyper same person.
Yeah.
It's father figure, mother figure, grandmother, grandfather, child, all these different aspects of life all around you, all the different ages and things, and
Yeah.
different points of view,
Yeah. It's like you
disagreeing,
have
healthy
perspective.
disagreeing points of view. And I feel like people are really starved for that too. And when
Mm.
people sometimes hear about ancestral food, they say, I don't have time or whatever. And I think, as daunting and scary as it is to say this, that a part of the good food is also changing some of the way our life is structured to match
Hmm.
that good food that
Yeah.
is slower, and to spend time talking to the person you get your pig from, and instead of just getting
Yeah.
it at the grocery store in a plastic styrofoam package without ever talking to anyone. Like, it's different, but it's supposed to be different, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our values are really what we're handing down to people,
Yeah,
is like,
it's true.
when you can prioritize these things, you'll never regret it.
Hmm.
When you prioritize your family and your health and your community and the local food system, those are really important. And children's health, certainly, like all of us, even the 20-year-olds are going to have younger people in their lives and they're going to
Sure.
be
Yeah.
giving birth or whatever. And so to kind of look at that as, and like, as I have teenagers and I'm getting older, I have a different perspective, right? And so
Mhm.
that only comes with time, that
Yeah,
perspective, right? So it is so powerful when you
absolutely.
can have the elders and then you have
Yeah.
the younger generations
Yeah.
that are bringing in lots of questions and
Yeah.
excitement. And but like, I guess the underlining thing is that everyone's really, I think, looking for answers, and there's so much information, and there's so much misinformation, and there's so much confusion, and there's so much illness that everyone's at a different point, a different stage, and everyone's microbiomes are in a different state of
Hmm.
health. And
Hmm.
so there's no one right way. But when you can get your values and these basic principles in order, then you're surely going to be headed in a good direction, right? Everyone's going to have to find their way to some degree, but when you can start with this foundation to build upon, when you get the foundation right, then the house will be strong, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like we're building that, helping them set up their foundation for health at whatever stage they're at.
So, speaking of your foundation, on your school of lunch schedule, you literally start out day one. Like, you do not let the grass grow under your feet. You you
It's
get people
happening.
checked in, and within a matter of hours, they're working. It looks like they're working in the kitchen. So you've got sourdough starter.
Yeah.
And is this because you want to have grains ready for the next day's
Yeah,
project?
basically,
Yeah,
with
no, it's
with this
perfect.
way of cooking, everything has to have a system, and
Mhm.
everything takes a little more time, but everything I feel like takes 5 minutes here
I
and five
know.
minutes there.
It's
It's
true.
like, it's
It's
not like you have to
true.
spend 4 hours like making sourdough. It's just like
Hmm.
we talk about doing a sourdough video, and I'm like, well, shoot, they're gonna have to like you have to be there the whole, or like doing a little class at school, and like they
Yeah.
have to be there the whole day, because it's like 5 minutes and then to fold the bread or make
And
the
2 hours
whatever
later.
starter, and then you're like gotta wait a half hour, and then you gotta come back a half hour, and then so
Yeah.
but it's like once you get it, and it does take practice, and it is, we talked about this last time, I think, like stepping into the work, like you have to decide. I said with my cookbook, the hardest part about doing the Heal Your Gut cookbook is deciding to do it, right? Because you
Yeah.
have to be like, okay, I'm gonna go for this, like I'm gonna
Hmm.
decide to.
Hmm.
And then we talked about this earlier too, like the baby steps. You cannot do it all at once. You have to just sort of take in what you can, and then decide to find your local egg farmer, and then you're going to find a better
Right.
source for your bacon, or switch out your fats, and
Yeah.
all those little steps and I'm a visual learner, so I like to see things in front of me
Mhm.
um, and be able to kind of witness like it in action.
Yeah.
So
So you start out with
so we
sourdough.
start, yes.
You're teaching them how to make a starter or just how to take care of a starter? And then you've
Well, we
got
start with
soaking and
just like
sprouting.
feeding the
Okay.
starter the
Okay.
night before, and then the next day we go into, and then we soak our beans. So everything it kind of is one day rolling into the next
Sure.
because we kind of jam a lot in.
Yeah, you do.
So
I see
by
that.
the end, they're kind of like, "Woo, that was a lot." It's sort of like leaving a Weston Price conference. You're just like, "Oh my god, my brain can't hold any more information." But that was the most incredible time. Like I met so
Yeah.
many cool people, and then you have to like go off back home and be like, "Is anybody out there? Like, does anyone know what I just went through?" So so you're just like so we feed the starter, and then the next day we make the dough,
Okay.
and we soak the beans, and the next day we're cooking the beans, and
Okay.
then
Yeah, I see that. You've got
going on from there.
making dough, soaking, sprouting, stage two. So is that like maybe draining the water
So
out,
like,
sprouting stage
yeah,
two?
like what you're
Okay.
gonna do, yeah. So sprouting that, I mean soaking them, and then straining them, and then we're gonna
Are
cook them.
they
We can do some sprouts, and then some we cook.
Yeah. And the exercises that they're doing, like for instance, organs, pate and beef heart, is that then the meal? Is that what are they
Yeah,
preparing the
so
food?
everything gets eaten. Yeah, so
Nice.
we're like kind
I
of
really
turning
like
it
this
all
party.
into like what the meal, and they get to participate in like helping
Okay.
to prepare the meals. And this year we're going to have a rotation through the kitchen where our chefs are cooking, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
We'll have the people rotating through every meal.
Wow.
So we haven't done that in the past, but I mean, people are always welcome to jump in. So those who want to, but I think we're
Yeah.
going to have like a more, couple people
Mm.
totally immersed in there for that meal, which will be super fun.
And you've got nutrients dense foods called snacks.
Oh yeah.
Tell me
So
about
that's
that.
really like the snacks that we do for the kids at school. So we make our own beautiful popcorn that's
Mhm.
sprouted and organic, and we do like a trio of fats with the Juka's red palm oil, which is my friend who's here in LA, but she's from Gambia, and her red palm oil is like just her family in Gambia that's making the most beautiful, sustainably harvested red palm oil. So it makes it look like movie theater popcorn. And then we do pure Indian Foods ghee and organic coconut oil, and then our Redmond real salt. And then sometimes we make like,
Perfect.
a seasoning blend to put on top, which is delicious. So things like that, the raw kefir smoothies. Um, oh my gosh, we just have like a whole array of
Is
like
that so
snacks.
I should make it clear for people listening that day one you've got the welcome gathering at dinner and then sourdough starter sprouting, and then on day two you've got making dough and then these nutrient dense foods called snacks in the morning. And so do you just kind of have like a handful of things that you go over that day for people,
Yeah,
like the
so that
popcorn?
day, in the beginning of
Okay.
that day, we're going through, that's a really busy day, the first day, but we're going
Mhm.
through snacks. I'm showing pictures of the snacks that I've created.
Okay.
And basically how I started as the lunch lady at my kids' school was as the snack
Oh yes,
coordinator.
yeah,
And
you said that.
yeah, so I basically was like, okay, I have an opportunity here. And I like went to town, and I went to like all the
Mhm.
farmers markets, and I would
Mhm.
collect like whatever was available. A bumper crop of tomatoes turned into like a tomato soup. I'd be like, my son's name is Campbell, so I'd be like, Campbell's tomato soup, and healthy tomato soup, or
Oh,
I'd make zoodles, and the kids are like holding them up, and they're
of
like,
course.
as they're like 6 feet long, like crazy things, anything to engage them with the local food system and making it like beautiful and colorful. And it became like a community event every day at Snack. And the Snack um, basically started to outshine the lunch program, which had been outsourced. And so by Christmas time, the head of school was like, if I
Please.
give you the keys to the kitchen, are you ready? And I was like, okay, here we go.
No, but I'll do
So
it.
yeah, I was like shaking in my boots, but it was like, I have to say yes,
Sure.
yes, yes, yes.
Sure.
So the snacks, we do like beet kvass shots, and we do pickle juice shots. We'll make like, sometimes I say to the kids like, here's like a great hors d'oeuvre when you get older and you go to a party and you're going to
Mhm.
be like, this is the easiest thing to throw together and everyone will love it. And it's just like a watermelon radish or even just a plain radish sliced on a mandolin or thinly with a dollop of butter and a sprig of parsley and a pinch of salt. And that's it. And it's like the most beautiful thing. And I walk around with a little platter and, offer the children, like whether they're like up at the snack table or around kind of the campus, I just walk around and serve hors d'oeuvres.
That's
but
so
not, I'm not doing that every day, but like, stuff like that, like how to engage kids in food. Snack is a really great entry point, and like not just grabbing those quick pyra booty or whatever it is that power bar or something to feed your kids. Like it's a every opportunity you have to get a hard-boiled egg or whatever. I mean, like sometimes I look at our snacks. We have bone broth out at snack. We have miso soup. We have a lavender, like if I last week or the week before I got a huge clump of lavender, whatever bouquet of lavender from my farmer, and it was the end of market. She's like, here, just take all of this. And we made beautiful lavender tea, and then you put the lavender out and the kids can see it. So that section of the training academy is really about just engaging with kids. Then we show a video too about what it looks like at the school, which is inspiring.
So a video of the kids getting their snacks and things. The way
and just like things that we've done. And like I used to make all these little signs that would just say what farm they're from, and
cool.
And just asking questions, and
Do you feel like I mean, I know with my kids, and I know you've seen with your kids as you've described, that when they're more involved with food, they're more likely to eat it. And I think that's accepted wisdom. I don't think there's many people that would argue with that. And do you think that that's related to a lot of adults? Adults are separated from their food too. We certainly think kids are, but an adult that opens a cardboard box and takes out a foil package and peels off the plastic, like they're also separated from food.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Microwaving that lasagna or whatever isn't the same as trekking out to the farm and getting tomatoes and then piling it together. So do you feel like that's associated to why there's all this dysfunction around food? Like pretty major, I feel like, in our society.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are so disconnected, I mean, even we've heard this a lot, right? Like there's just a package of chicken breast, with a beautiful picture of a farm on the front, and there's no
farm.
Fake farm. And there's no concept of that life of that chicken. I mean, I've bought chicken at the grocery store before, but really, actually, we had a couple of vegetarian, vegan people who came last year to the training academy, and they were completely transformed and left eating organ meats and meat. Yeah. But that interaction with the farmer at the farmer's market was transformative. One of them said, just that knowing that integrity that goes into raising an animal set her like nervous system at ease about having, to take a life for her own nourishment. So it's really, really powerful. Like I can't stress enough the importance of connecting with your farmers and knowing where your food comes from. And then also the preparation. Like it's really important to me to have family dinner every night, or at least as like often as we can. We're not always all here, but I really try. I mean, sometimes we're eating at like 8 because it's like so important. I'm waiting for my last kid to get home, and ideally it would be like 6:00, but sometimes we wait so that we can all sit down together. And then of course, it's like, it's never like this fairy tale, sit down dinner with a great conversation. It's like, I'm still waiting for that to happen one day.
You know what? I think that happens when I know with growing up with 8 kids and everything.
Oh yeah, that's where all the kids came.
Yeah, that's where all the kids came from. Dinner time is there's a lot of training that happens in such a good way, but then when you go back and you eat with your adult children,
yeah, exactly.
Get
like,
lots of the
then you're like,
cash
maybe
in on all that.
Did remember the things that I tried to drill into them every day of their childhood. Yeah. So it's I forget where we started, but that being disconnected from your food. Like just yesterday, like there's just so much. I can't say it enough too, that my French elder said to me, Hilary, don't forget, simplicity is gourmet. And
Mm,
when I make food, like, I think that's part of what's appealing about the way that we teach and the way that we cook at school is that I've never been to culinary school. I've never worked a day in my life in a commercial kitchen. And so I just am like a mom who's cooked for my family of 7, and nothing is super complicated. Like, I
right.
don't think I was born to be this like amazing chef or anything. It's just like keep it real, keep it simple, put in the nutrient density, and leave it at that, you know. But like I do love I used to paint furniture before I had my kids, and I think the kitchen then became my creative outlet. Like there's so
Mm,
much beauty, and
yeah.
so if you're a creative person, it's like an amazing way to like, you know, style food or take photographs of it and stuff. But yeah, that connection to it all, and to the the what's the word I'm looking for, the time that goes in the preparation, the connection to where it comes from, and then taking time to prepare. Obviously, some days are easier than others, but when you prepare by shopping correctly, then you always have something, right? Like, I feel like I can always throw together something, whether it's like
Yeah.
bacon and eggs and a piece of sourdough for dinner, you know,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
it's better than going out and getting junk. And they're not, you know,
Totally.
it's just like my husband used to say, like, well, it's going to be another meal in like, you know, 6 hours. So if this one isn't perfect, we have another opportunity like right around the
It's a
corner,
good way to
you
think
know?
about it.
So
That
yeah.
simplicity is such a good little nugget for people to take. It's not
Oh,
even
it's like
little,
the
it's a
best. I have
huge,
to have that on my hub
yeah.
because Rose was 94 and she just like
Mm,
rocked it. I met her at the butcher shop.
wow.
Basically accosted her and was like,
And
"What's
she's
your
the
deal?
one who said
Because you're cool."
simplicity is
Yeah.
gourmet.
Yeah, she's like not even 5 feet tall, or was, and
Ugh,
just like buying bones or bone broth or something. And I
yeah.
think she was buying bones. I'm like, "What are you making?" She
Yeah.
was making her own bone broth.
Of course she
Yeah,
was. That's why she's 95 years
of
old.
course she was. Yes.
um,
Would you like more support to help you eat, cook, and live ancestrally? If so, come and check out our community at patreon.com/ancestral kitchen podcast. We've got so many goodies over there that will help guide, inspire, and support you in this journey we're taking together. There's our exclusive podcast where Andrea and I talk more intimately about what's happening in our kitchens and lives. There are so many after show bonuses, downloads, extra audios and resources. We have a forum where you can ask and answer questions, and we even host a monthly chat where we get together and talk all the ancestral kitchen things. We love cooking and eating this way, and this community and library of resources is what we would have wanted when we started out. Check out www.patreon.com/ancestral kitchen podcast to get started.
I think this is where some people get hung up on the idea of eating this way is that and of course, this is, rightfully so. There should be people out there who are making really fun, complex meals out of stuff. But they see that on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. And I think it's a little bit overwhelming. And people ask Allison and myself this all the time. Oh, how do you do this every day? And I'm sure you get asked that too. And our answer is always, we're not eating what you think we're eating. Like,
Yeah.
we're not eating fancy.
It's like leftovers.
It's
Yeah.
very simple, but then it's very delicious as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Oh my gosh.
have,
And like, actually, well, sorry. I
yeah,
was just going to say one of my chefs at school says she calls it based on fridge. And so, like, and even at school, like, everything is like, we're no waste. So we use everything. We're always keeping an eye on, like, what, you know,
yeah,
what's available. And it's cool at home to be able to just, look at what's in the fridge, what needs to be
mhm,
used up, pull it all out. Everybody can even have something different that night. If you
yeah,
just need to use stuff
totally,
up, it's like
totally.
based on
Free for
fridge.
all
Just go
buffet.
for it. Yeah, free for
I
all.
am I am always and forever stunned. I mean, not even a little bit stunned, but like very stunned when I go to people's houses and they have grocery store food and I just see the vast amounts that they throw into the trash. It just
Yeah,
shocks me because I'm thinking,
it's
I mean,
shocking.
if I made that, there's no way you'd be, but I would be like, nope, you save all those crusts. That's bread pudding. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
see it
Right.
go into the trash, even though now I have pigs and chickens. And so we do have scrap and waste food that goes to them, especially like when I cleaned out the fridge yesterday and had about 30 jars of mysteries in there. But that went to the birds. But
The food museum, that's what you get. Like,
the
that's what we
food
used to call
museum,
my grandmother's
yeah,
refrigerator. It was like,
yeah,
oh, that probably shouldn't be eaten. And she'd be like, it's fine. It's
vintage
fine. Just scrape the mold
jam.
off the top. Yeah.
But for the most part, our daily waste is minimal. And
Yeah.
it's just because you're touching the actual energetic expense of that food.
And you're
And
mindful because you've been a part of it all, right?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the effort that goes into it all is, worth every,
Hmm.
penny and every hour spent, but you don't want to waste any
Hmm.
of it.
Hmm. So you have raw dairy on here before and
Hmm.
after lunch. So we won't be able to go over every single thing on here, but I do want to ask why, like, tell me about the raw dairy section in the coconut
Ooh,
kefir.
yeah. So we have, well, raw dairy is like what changed my life when
Hmm.
I discovered it. My child with eczema was healed like
Wow,
really
that's profound.
fast. Yeah, he was like 2 months old and covered in eczema. So raw
Wow.
dairy was my impetus to change and like the aha moment of like, what? I didn't even know what it was.
Hmm.
So we go through, all aspects of raw dairy. We make kefir, show how easy it is to make kefir. Everybody walks away with kefir grains.
Oh,
And
that's great.
we make kefir cheese, which on the first night we have kefir cheese and a huge like welcome party
Yeah,
charcuterie
yeah.
board. And kefir cheese is just like, people are like, what is this? Like
It's
an herbed kefir
literally in
cheese.
my like top two dairy products of
So
all
good.
time. I don't think
Right.
you can beat it.
It's so good. And it's so easy. So,
It's
and
so
then we go
easy.
through like, whey, and you can use your whey to ferment vegetables.
Hmm.
Um, and then what else do we do with raw dairy? We make a raw kefir smoothie. We have,
Yum.
not on this day, but on the last day, we have people come in who are experts and talk
Oh,
about,
awesome.
their various areas. So Mark McAfee from Raw Farms Organic Pastures, he
Yeah.
comes and does a whole PowerPoint, or his son has come too, which is like so helpful because they are, experts on this. So they can answer any questions. And actually, like when we were serving raw dairy at the school in the very beginning, the head of school like Googled raw milk and was like, I don't think we can be serving this here, Hilary. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Of course we can. And then I had invited Mark to come down, and we had a big gathering at our house, much like we did with Redmond. And he spent like 10 minutes with Mark McAfee, and he's like, I'm cool, all good. Yeah.
That just
So
gave
it's
me
like,
chills because
right? It's just,
it is literally just this, it's an education gap. That's all it is.
yeah.
And the
And if you
marketing is
Google on the
so strong
interwebs,
against it,
yeah,
but the actual um facts are so short, clean and simple. Like
yeah,
it literally can take a few sentences and somebody
yeah.
understands.
Yeah. And
Uh,
raw dairy, I would say, when I taught cooking classes in Massachusetts to moms, that was like the number one. Well, in Massachusetts, it's not legal to sell in the
Right,
stores. You can get it off the farm.
right.
And I ran an Amish co-op, so people had access to it. But it was the number one barrier for people. Like
Really?
that was like the hardest thing for them to jump into. Because, like I was saying, you Google it and it's just like, they scare the bejesus out of you. And it's like, yeah, you have to know your farmer. You want to have a good source, like
Sure.
just like anything.
Just
You
like
can get
anything.
bad spinach that makes you sick. So,
You're far more
like,
likely to do that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You're more likely, yeah, to be harmed from spinach. And anyways, so it's about like really demystifying that, and then the benefits of raw milk are so
Yeah.
huge.
They're
So making yogurt
insane.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
We did an episode on raw milk on the podcast because we were asked about it so many times. So you'd probably love that one because
oh yeah,
I think it's such a good one. I've had so many people tell me, I'm sending this to my such and so, father-in-law
yeah,
who's horrified that I'm feeding my children raw milk. So I'm going to send him this.
yeah.
I think
I
it's a
can
really good
tell
one for
people.
people
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like
I mean,
get that initial.
my eczema baby is 16, so we've been drinking raw milk for 16
Yeah.
years, and he has no asthma, no eczema,
Yeah.
no allergies, and no one's dropped dead.
And I
And
think
we
we've
go
been,
through like, some weeks were 10 gallons a week.
oh, yeah,
Seriously. It was
yeah.
like, guys, slow your roll.
Or don't, because that stuff's good.
I know, but it's like,
Because their brain,
but
I know.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's not cheaper to have your own cow. So
Oh,
it's probably
well, maybe
cheaper to
more
keep buying
fun. Yeah.
it. Way more fun.
Yeah.
I
I
think
That's my dream. One day.
we've been doing raw milk, I think, for about 12 years. So, um,
Yeah.
and it is
It's awesome.
actually,
It's so good.
it
Oh my
is.
God, it's so
I
good.
don't think you
And
can
it
go
doesn't
back
go
from it.
bad. Like it just
Mhm.
sours,
Yeah.
You can't go back. I mean, I grew up on skim milk because I was a
Yeah.
whole
Me
fat-free
too.
thing,
Me too.
but I can't even believe I could not imagine drinking skim milk now. Raw
Mm.
milk, we just made raw milk ice cream. Like we've gotten back into that. It's so
Oh.
delicious.
Okay. Did you
So
see
good.
that? I put
We should do that at the training academy.
my lacto fermented ice cream in our little cookbook we just put out.
Ooh.
It's so good.
Did you just, no, I haven't seen that yet. I've done it before where I
Yeah,
add
I'll have to show
kefir.
it to you.
What'd you do?
It's
Okay,
you
I'll have to look.
basically, yeah, I'll send it to you. It's so good
Okay.
and it's so easy because it's basically kefir or yogurt, kind of,
Yum.
but
Yeah.
not quite the same.
It's so
Um,
good. You could eat it for breakfast. I'd
I
feel good about that.
that's actually people are telling me I'm put this on my waffles in the morning and it's gonna be my breakfast.
Yum.
I'm like, okay, I'm sold.
That sounds so good.
um, Grains and partner bakers, grains, gluten, glyphosate. You have a whole bunch about grain right here. So grain, gluten
Grains.
free. So I'm guessing this is a hot topic because you
Yeah.
dedicated a half a day to this
Yeah. Well,
grains.
going
So
through, sourdough is big. I mean, so we swore off grains for 2 years when we did the GAPS diet, and I was just like, grains are the devil. I'm never gonna have a grain again in my life.
right, wheat belly.
And yeah, and then like as we, with 5 kids, it's just like, so as we went off, I was just like, you know what, if we're ever going to have grains again, I'm going to learn how to make my own sourdough. So
Yeah.
there was a woman in the canyon who's an amazing baker. Actually, she makes the gluten-free bread for the training academy. She's just like a magician. She's the angel in your kitchen. She's called Patty. She's so awesome. So I have her 50-year-old mother called Lady Hawk that actually I just sent to somebody. I sent part of her to Virginia, and she sent me a picture with like Lady Hawk written on the side. I know, it's so cool.
Aw.
So yeah, demystifying grains and going through, all grains are definitely not created equal, and we for the school we get locally grown grains that are sourced, right here in California from the best farms, and then freshly milled in Pasadena at a company called Grist and Toll. And Nan Kohler, who founded Grist and Toll, she comes and does a whole PowerPoint on
I saw her on the
grains.
evening schedule.
Yeah, she's amazing. So
And is
going
she
through, yeah.
well,
Sorry, go
is
ahead.
she there talking about the growing of grains, or is she there
All
talking
of
about
it,
okay,
yeah.
wow.
The growing and the milling and what you're getting, when you have freshly milled grains, and then the glyphosate obviously is a big issue, and people kind of navigating that. And I mean, I have done before where I've done like feeding my starter from just like a flour on the grocery store shelves, even like a really pretty good flour, I feel like, and then feeding it with freshly milled flour, and it's like the life force, like the amount of growth from the freshly milled flour is just like, it's like so much happier. So again, just demystifying that, and then giving people the tools. Like, it's not like, I know you guys have done the milling of your own grains, and it's fun, especially if you have kids. And so talking about that, and then soaking, obviously if you're doing like a wheat berry salad or something, like you want to soak overnight and break down the,
oh my goodness, wheat
acid and all
berries
that. So
fermented in kefir. I had that once. Oh my gosh, it was
so good.
good. Just kind of addicting,
so
because
like
you get that chewiness and the tartness.
Yeah, it's so good. And some people are so afraid, or they get that, like, a lot of people say, like, I can't eat bread, but I can eat your bread. So, like, why is that, right? What's the process?
Okay.
And so it's, again, like the proper preparation of food that our ancestors all intuitively, I don't know how they figured it all out, but they did. Trial and error, I guess. Either like someone dropped dead, they're like, "Whoop, we can't do that anymore."
Mistake.
Sorry. So, redo. So then, like, we do a lot of work on the food outside of the body so that our body doesn't have to work so hard to digest it on the inside.
Yeah, which I love.
So, yeah.
Do you have
Hello.
people? He said hi to you.
Hi.
Do you have people come? You said you had a vegan and a vegetarian come, which surprised me. And then they left eating organs, which probably doesn't surprise me as much. Do you have people come, and I do feel like, and I was this too, people are as or more vigorously against grains than like a vegan might be against eating animal products. So do you have people come
I
who say I can't eat them, or did they just try everything and they're open?
Yeah, that's such a good point. We've had people that have given up grains, and then
Okay.
like 2 years ago, we had a woman who had given them up, and then she's like, "I'm just gonna, if I'm gonna try them, I'm gonna try them here." So
Mm.
she reincorporated them
Wow,
into
good
her
for her.
diet. So yeah, and even the vegan woman was so awesome because she had some health concerns, and she was just on. We always have a like real like sit down phone conversation with anybody who's attending, just so we know exactly like where they're at on their health journey, what they're hoping to get out of this, and
Yeah.
like, just explain kind of what's going to happen. And she was just like, I'm just open. Like she just
Yeah.
hit a limit of just like, I'm sick of being sick. I
Good.
don't know what to do anymore. I'm just going to come with an open mind.
Yeah.
And that was like
Good for
so
her.
beautiful because we can be so rigid and so committed, and I was that person with fat, and I look back and I'm like,
Oh,
jeez, that was
yeah. Yeah.
so crazy, but I just was so hooked into that narrative,
Hmm.
and it took some undoing, and
Yeah.
to really be liberated. And I think that liberation is really like a good word because you just like can let go, and it's such a cool, like, welcoming, fun environment that there's no judgment. It's like we meet you where you are. Like we're not going to say, oh, if you're vegan, don't come. We'll say like, we're not going to have a vegan option for every
Right.
meal per se, but if you're open, then
Yeah.
because I don't
Yeah.
think that's sustainable at all, and we don't teach that at the school, or
Well, it
so
doesn't fit. It would
it
make
doesn't
this
fit with
an
their,
enormously
yeah,
imbalanced meal
yeah, it's
if you
not a
took everything
species
you were making
appropriate.
and then, yeah, no, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be. So day 3, you basically you go there. You
Oh my
talk
gosh,
meat.
we go there. Yeah.
And this, I don't even know how long we've been recording. I feel like we could talk for
Oh, I
40
can
hours.
tell you.
So, okay.
47 minutes
47 minutes.
and 8 seconds.
Okay, so let's talk about your protein day. Um, you've got
I'm so
organs on
excited for this.
here. You've got anchor meats. Can you tell me a little bit
Oh
about
yeah.
this? Yeah.
So the anchor meets are like, so what we do for the school is we have our systems in place where we, like Monday we're making our sourdough, and then Tuesday's typically a chicken and rice. So we're roasting all of our chickens, and we're pulling all the meat off the bone and putting the bones into making a bone broth, and then taking the organ meats and using those into a meatloaf or bolognese sauce, whatever
Oh,
that's going to
yum.
be. And then or pate. And then we're making our roast beef for the sandwich bar. We have a sandwich bar 3 days a week for some of the kids pack their
That's
lunch and go out on the
awesome.
land for the whole day. I know, so it's a little
Uh,
crazy, but like, yeah, 3, 4, 5 we'll go out on Tuesdays, 6, 7, 8 on Wednesdays in high school and Thursdays. So we have like 10 o'clock snack and sandwich bar for whole school snack, sandwich bar for half the kids, and then we have to schlep it all in and then turn around an hour and make a sit down dinner lunch for like the rest of the school.
wow.
And then we're like, woo, let's do it all again tomorrow. But that's where like the systems are so key to have in place because we're making the roast beef, and then on Wednesday we're salting our like a chuck roll or pork shoulders that we're salting, and then they will salt overnight and then be decorated and put in Thursday morning for a slow roast all day, and then Friday lunch all we have to do is shred the meat and like make the sides and all that. So the anchor meats are really like your chicken and your roast beef and your top round and your chuck rolls and your pork shoulders. Like that's like a little overwhelming for some people, although it is the easiest 5-minute thing to do. And
It
then
literally
time
is.
does all the rest, like the time and
Yeah.
the heat does all the rest.
That is I mean, name something: sourdough, sprouting, fermenting anything, soaking grains, cooking grains, meat, all of these things. Your hands-on time is usually so minimal, or the majority of your
Yeah.
time is just like if you're dicing something that's going into it,
Yeah.
and it just
And then
looks.
making like the bone broth is happening. So Tuesday we'll pull all the meat off the bones. We start the bone broth. It goes all day Wednesday, and then Thursday is a soup salad focaccia day. So again, Wednesday we're making more focaccia dough, and then the next
Fine.
day so it will ferment overnight, and then we have all of our beautiful bone broth to make our soups and
Mm.
everything. So
And you kind of
and we
work
can-
off of that probably for the next couple days until they check out on
yeah, oh
Friday.
yeah, and we'll
Yeah.
put bone broth out for snack and
Bone broth
you
is
know.
the perfect snack. It's always tell
Yeah,
people
I
bone
mean,
broth
and
is
it's
the perfect protein drink if you don't know what
yeah.
protein drink for like sports or
I just
something.
had some. Yeah. I mean, the kids are also outside, like no matter what the weather is.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they're like chattering and they're like nature kids. They're like barefoot and muddy and
Sure.
it's raining and they're like, showing up for snack and they're like, purple basically. I'm like, have some bone broth. Like, let me give you
A
some.
little
Like, I'm
cold
like, this will
therapy is
just
good for you.
calm. Yeah. But I'm like, let's just calm that nervous system and get you a little warm inside. And so, and like, it's really cool to have these vocabulary words in your kind of repertoire because like these kids like one of them the other day was like, I don't feel well, a tummy ache, and he's standing in line. I was like, let me get you some bone broth. Like I'm like
Yeah.
the little mother hen that takes care of all, like, now that my babies are getting old, I'm like, oh, these little kids are so cute. So to give a child like a mug of bone broth when they don't feel well, like just that association with, oh, she went and got me something from the kitchen. She didn't like give me whatever drug to make me try and
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah.
It's like, let's
Imagine
just start with food.
imagine a school where when the kid isn't well, you send them to the kitchen and not the nurse.
Yeah, the kitchen
Like,
is your medicine cabinet.
this is where people say, how can you spend so much on raw milk? How could you spend so much on bones or whatever? But once you are utilizing and recognizing this food as your actual medicine,
It's medicine.
the price is not, you're not comparing apples to apples anymore. You're comparing medicine to apples, and
Yeah, I mean, and
totally
I think
different.
that's where somebody said to me, your pain fuels your passion, because we've had like a healing journey with,
You have.
a child with the eczema. I had infertility. We have a child with epilepsy. My ex-husband had throat cancer. My dad had Alzheimer's. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's no fun.
No.
And it's no way to live. And then you spend all your time and all your money chasing after health. And then it's so confusing and you don't know where to start and you're overwhelmed and you're facing life and death and it's just like, this is not what you signed up for, So if it's just like, I can't emphasize enough to just like, wherever you are, just decide to start, because your body is so miraculous that, with my son with the eczema, he turned around in like 2 months or less. It was just like, whoop, it was like gone. And every doctor was like, steroid cream and Zyrtec twice a day, and this is probably what he'll just have. And
Okay, why don't you go?
Hello.
You can snuggle up on the couch, or you can go play outside while you wait for me.
Be right here with you.
Okay, you can be right here.
Oh, I'm cool with that. Give her a headset.
Yeah, she'll listen in. She's sat through some of my entire podcast with Allison.
Well, I love that about you guys, because it's like, it's just real,
is.
It's like all of us mamas
very
can
real life.
relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real life.
You have
Can I just
another
find things on here for you?
Here, how about I give you your very own paper? And what if you go draw on the couch and then come and show me what you draw? Okay,
You can tell her I want to see what she draws.
Oh, Miss Hilary
Yeah.
wants to see what you draw too.
Tell her to draw me. Maybe she can draw a picture of your cow.
Can you draw the cow, Elsie?
Ooh.
Mommy.
Okay.
You know what? Animals are so much like that too with the food, where, like we talked about with the Redmond salt, if you give the animals the food, they'll go for what they need and they'll heal themselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think we've actually, they're
Well,
All 4 of her legs. Very good.
there could be things, of course, that we'll run into, but everything are. You're gonna have to be quiet if you're gonna sit down here, but yes, give me your tail. We've healed a lot of things with our animals just by giving them food. And what's funny is it's food off our own table, feeding animals kefir or feeding bone broth and things like that to our animals.
And my dogs love kefir and bone broth. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So you have a lot of people coming in and talking. It looks like it's towards the end. I see Erin on the schedule here. And
Hilda.
Listeners of the podcast know Erin and Hilda. Listeners also know her. Chuck is here, I see.
Yeah.
And then Mark, like you said. And yeah, that looks really awesome. So
Nan will come
what do
earlier.
what do they come in and talk about? You've got class 1, 2, 3, 4.
So Hilda Labrada Gore from the Wise Traditions podcast. She comes in and does a slideshow and talks about all of the traditional cultures from around the world and
Oh,
places
cool.
she's visited, and the
She's been
ancestral
everywhere.
wisdom and how diet plays such a huge role. And it has,
Okay.
for millennia, that this is these are the traditional principles that have kept humans thriving for, for as long as we've been around. So we've just veered off. So we just got to get back on track. And Hilda is just like so inspirational and so fun. And she walks her walk, so it's like just really great to hear her speak and be around her. And she's there for the whole week, which is like
Oh, that's cool.
so
Yeah,
awesome.
she
Yeah.
just has boundless energy. If anybody follows
Yeah.
her online, they know that. And she's
Yeah.
always down to try whatever crazy,
Totally.
jumping
Whatever
through
crazy thing.
ice or
Exactly.
whatever. She'll do it.
So yeah,
Okay,
and
and then
last year actually we had Bob Soulier last year from Breathe Your Power, and he did a lot of
oh,
breath work
nice.
with people. So and then we talked about cold therapy. We had a cold plunge, but it wasn't super cold. But just that like kind of being mindful of your nervous system, especially if you're a chef in a kitchen. It can be really intense, and a lot of quick decisions have to be made, and there can be a lot of egos, and not necessarily that's what we actually at our kitchen, we're like, check your ego at the door, mission is the boss, like it's all about feeding the kids.
Yeah.
But it can be stressful because there's like time constraints and stuff, so understanding that you have this powerful tool in just your breath alone is so awesome. So hopefully he'll come back. And then Aaron obviously would be talking about, he ended up, last time we spoke, I was moving to Texas, and Aaron and I were going to do this program together. And then it ended up just like, it was too hard for Chuck and me and Aaron to all go to Texas. So we stayed here to stay with Manzanita School, and Aaron started this program, beautiful program in Texas.
Yeah.
And now he's almost completed his first year. He's basically like single-handedly fed like 80 to 100 people, I think about 80 people every day.
Goodness.
And just like, and he didn't
He's
even have an
amazing.
oven or a stovetop for like
No.
the first 5 months. Yeah. He was like all on a griddle, like outside.
What?
I was just like,
You can throw
you
anything at
are
this
my
guy.
hero.
I just
he's
don't
amazing.
even.
So, and he's just like such an awesome human. And
His attitude is so great.
oh my
His
gosh, and
attitude
he's
is so
just
great.
such a phenomenal chef. Like, he has culinary training, and he has worked in restaurants, and he's worked at a school in Italy as well as now in Texas, and then he started his own. He is about to launch a course too to like help people with the fundamentals of cooking, and cooks with his son Rafa, who's 5 or 6, and so he's just like, he's a great teacher. And then Chuck will be talking about local food systems, and he's sort of like, Chuck was he's my business partner in School of Lunch, and he had gone vegan. I don't know how many years ago. I didn't know him when, but he got really sick, and he
From being
decided,
vegan?
really sick. Like someone said to him that they asked him if he had cancer. Like he looked really sick. Like he's skinny to begin with, but to like
malnourished.
just super malnourished. And so he decided he was going to dive into the local meat system and really understand where his meats come from.
Okay.
So that was now he's like a meat distributor and sources all the meats and stuff for the school, and
A
eating tons of
former
organ meats and all
vegan
this.
who's a meat distributor. That's quite a turnaround.
I know, right? So it's like that aha, like, okay. So he will talk about the importance of sourcing. I don't know, I hope my computer doesn't die. I just noticed it's hold on.
Blinking at you, the desperate red light.
No, but it's been red since we started, so hopefully it's gonna be okay. So he sources all the food now. Like I used to go to the farmers markets, like, every week, and I still go to some, but he's, going to 4 or 5, sometimes 6 farmers markets a week. And now we have some people that shop for us as well, but really understanding your local food system and how to support the local farmers, because that's so important. And he also talks about, we did a citizen science project I don't know, 4 years ago, where we put blood glucose monitors on, where as chefs we wore them, and we had parents wear them, and kids wear them, and teachers wear them,
you talked about
just
that.
as an education piece, and it's so powerful. So we had actually the first year we had the Dexcom rep come and talk about the importance of maintaining a kind of a stable blood glucose level. And so he talks about how we feed the kids to kind of maintain that long sustained energy. So it gets into that a little bit. And then who else? Mark McAfee talks all about the raw dairy. And then Nan Kohler talks all about the, yeah. And then hopefully this next training academy will have you there.
That would be
And
awesome. I
you
love
can talk about what you do. And that would be so amazing. So
absolutely.
we try and bring in partners like, maybe Redmond will come one year, Redmond Real Salt. And,
that would be really cool.
we just really try and collaborate with those that, we think are doing things right. And we have, we have so many great partnerships that we're able to really set people up to with like the chefs that leave and are headed into schools or bakeries or anybody who's really wants to be connected. Like we'll connect them directly to Pure Indian Foods Ghee or Redmond Real Salt, and then they can, purchase on their own for their schools. And so half the battle is. Oh, did she finish her drawing?
She said I drew just the face.
Oh, I want to see. Half the battle is, people get overwhelmed with sourcing and how you're going to find these, and is everything too expensive, whatnot. But, all these people, farmers and food purveyors that understand the importance of children's health and health in general are always looking to work with,
100%.
like-minded people. And they're always figuring out ways that we can all support one another. And so that I feel like is just one of the best parts is just being connected to, wonderful people doing great things. And
and one connection leads to another. I think that's we have this idea of, I want to swipe right and find somebody, right? Like I want the connection to be so commercialized and built for me and whatever. But I think that it would be a loss for us to underestimate the power of that. Yeah, that is Elsie. I see her udder of that natural, organic. It is the other part of her tail, the end where it's black, the switch. That natural connection, you met somebody and then they said, well, what I get this from over here. And then you go to that farmer and that farmer is like, you know what, Hilary, you would love this guy over there, what he's doing. You should go talk to him. And
that's actually how I met Chuck. At the farmer's market. Yeah, the woman was like, oh, you should talk to Hilary. She makes her own bread. And all of a sudden we're like, now we're like dating and living together and business partners.
Well,
I'm like, who knew? Well, over the course of many years. But
know your farmer a little bit a little bit far.
It's just like, you never know the connections that you'll make, and people, are always happy to share. And that's where I feel like it's really they're good humans, people who are not out for themselves. They're all about sharing knowledge.
Absolutely.
And, you want people like you guys that are sharing recipes and giving, just sharing, because it's like it all comes back to you tenfold, And that's one of the things I want to make sure that people know too, is that we go down to the Santa Monica Farmers Market, which is like maybe one of the best farmers markets in the country.
Wow.
And so we teach people, well, first of all, people get to interact with the farmers, but we, talk about the questions to ask and the, what to look for. Because I think a lot of people don't know how to navigate the farmers market. So that's a really special day on Wednesday. And then we go back and we take all of the beautiful food that we bought and we go to this wonderful, beautiful house in the Palisades, which is overlooking the ocean and has an amazing kitchen, and we all cook up our bounty from the farmer's market. And then my friend Monica from Real Food Devotee, she comes, she's another expert that comes in, and we spend a couple hours talking about fermentation, Q&A, like deep conversations about fermentation, because that's one that I really want people to understand. And she's such an expert on it and makes the most amazing food. So she is there on Wednesday. And then also another thing that we do on Thursday is that we have a closing party, and everybody helps, all the foods that we've made throughout the week. Everything is all towards that culmination of a big party where we invite guests from our community. So it's not just the guests that come for the training academy. We invite about 50 people to come to our retreat. So, we've had Molly and John Chester from Apricot Lane Farm. We have lots of cool people in the food, network in Los Angeles who come, and just different chefs and amazing people.
The who's who. Who's who
Yeah,
on
it's
the
just really
team?
fun, and it's just a beautiful celebration. And we have a graduation ceremony, so everyone
Oh,
gets to
that's really
witness
cool.
that. And yeah,
Would
so
you
it kind of like,
say, sorry, what were you
that's
saying?
okay. I was just going to say, kind of like morphs, every year is a little bit different. And,
Yeah,
this year we're doing two. So, and not everybody's always available. Every
sure.
expert is not always available. So we just we just go with it and get people as much amazing information as we can.
That's one of the valuable parts of this information is there's no specifically right or wrong things to teach. You could pull in somebody from any farm, and
Yeah.
the guests that come to this training will be spending the rest of their life learning about this.
Oh, yeah.
This is just
Yeah.
opening doorways to them so they feel comfortable with starting. Would
Yeah.
you say that the majority of your trainees are going back to cook professionally, like in a school, or no?
No, I'd say it's about 50-50.
Okay.
So yeah, we get about half school chefs, and then what we're starting to do too, or like plan, is a 2-day workshop where we could
Oh,
have the
okay.
school chefs. So with me and Aaron and maybe a couple chefs from Manzanita, where we can really dive deep into just the school lunches, because it is different when you have someone who's looking to cook for 300 kids versus a grandmother who's looking to just be well and cook for her grandkids. So they're all going to learn the principles and the values, but we want to even be able to go deeper with more
Right.
extended
Yeah.
education. And we can do some of that stuff online as well and build like the
Oh,
community.
that'd be cool.
So as soon as we can find the time to get the videos going.
What would you say to
Probably be a
somebody who's
grandmother by then.
considering going to your training? What would you tell them? Somebody
Oh
who's
gosh,
browsing
well,
this
I'd say we will welcome them with open arms, no matter where they are in their journey, and that they should just get excited to be to have a whole new network and family, basically, of
Wow.
great people, and to be, they're gonna learn so much. They'll just be so on fire when they leave, and really forever changed. And so we will hold hands, and we will laugh. We've had tears. It is just like everything flows, and it just is. It's a beautiful human experience, and so I feel like it's getting people back to that. Really, what I think we all crave so deeply, right? And that's so intuitive in us, is that way to live in that joyful space. So we all have work to do, right? You don't go home and it's just like, oh, everything's like, switched around, and my kitchen's all, got the best food. You have to, do the work, but it's fun. And then they can always reach out to any one of us. And like I said, like we have two 22-year-olds that are coming back this year as ambassadors, because they just want to be a part of it. They want to
That's
be,
amazing.
continue their learning. And actually both of them as well just came and spent a week at the Manzanita kitchen. So that's so exciting for me, because that's just like, they have a huge opportunity to, they're going to be on the right path from a young age. Like, I wish I knew. I wish somebody had taken me under their wing and said, like, this is a good way over here, And but oftentimes we have to have that kind of frying pan wake up call. A frying pan to the head. I always say that's my $1 million question. How can we wake people up before the wake up call? But I think it's human nature to wait for the wake up call. So, but you don't have to. We can switch that right now. You can just decide to, when you know better, you do better.
Much more peaceful way to do it by choice.
Yeah,
than
and
by
it's just a
force.
fun. If you just want to just have a fun getaway too. I mean, we go to the beach. This year we're going to go to the beach. Last year we all jumped into the ocean. Aaron had never been in the Pacific Ocean, so that was super cool. So yeah, there's lots of fun little things like that. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a fun getaway for people who are just looking, like, it's a food camp, basically, like ancestral wisdom.
Could you describe
Foodie.
anything better?
Like, all of your desires will be,
utterly fulfilled.
And it's a beautiful retreat center too. So, and Topanga is super cool. So it's fun. Yeah, it's so different for so many people. I mean, for me, coming from New Hampshire, growing up in New England, and then Topanga is just like, the different world.
Different country
like
altogether.
Country.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but yeah, if people have questions, they can reach out to us at schooloflunch.com has, or Training Academy at School of Lunch. Training Academy.
What's
I'm like,
the?
why am I?
We'll put it in the show
Anyway, we'll
notes
put it in
too.
the show
But what
notes.
is it? And then where
I'm
do you
having
want? I actually have one more question I want to ask you, but I'm gonna if your computer doesn't die and if you have time, but
Yeah,
I'll
I think
ask
it's
it
okay.
in
It has
the.
a little.
I'll save it for the after show. So before we end
Ooh.
the main feed here, and then we'll just record a few minutes to put up on the Patreon private feed where I can ask you, what do you say to those at home that are trying to do it all? Before I
Oh,
ask
yeah.
you that, where should people find you? Where do we follow you, Hilary?
Okay. Well, the best place is on Instagram
Okay.
at School of Lunch. School
Okay.
of Lunch. That's where I am mostly present. And usually, if I'm at the Manzanita School, I'm goofing around in the kitchen and taking videos, and we're all just having a grand old time and showing kids plates and kids feet, feet and dancing around. And, what I can show, I try and show. I'm just like, the head of school just kind of discovered us. He's like, wow, you guys really have a good time in the kitchen. He's like, this is funny. I'm like, I know, I got to show the world. Like, it's fun to feed kids.
It is really fun
you gotta
watching
just
you
like, I
guys
think it
in the
keeps me
kitchen.
sane to just like laugh along the way. And yeah, so, and then I think that just goes straight to Facebook, which is Hilary Boynton on Facebook. So if people are on Facebook, Hilary Horner Boynton, and then schooloflunch.com is where there's actually a 12-minute video at schooloflunch.com under school that shows like the genesis kind of the lunch lady and the story of how we do things at the school. And then there's a 6-minute video on my Instagram. I pinned it. So it's the first post. And then also on schooloflunch.com under training, you can watch a 6-minute video about the Training Academy, which is really beautiful. So that'll give you a little glimpse into what you'll be getting.
Well, thank you, Hilary. We'll jump over to the private feed now, but thank you to everyone who is listening, and thank you to the patrons who are supporting the podcast. And I will talk to you later.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for listening. We'd love to continue the conversation. Come find us on Instagram. Andrea's at Farm and Hearth and Allison's at Ancestral_kitchen. Until next time, we both wish you much fun, exploration, and satisfaction in and out of the kitchen.